Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's always a great day when a celebrity that I follow, let alone a celebrity that I like, comes out as LGBT. I just get so excited because when I was growing up, I never really could look up to celebrities that were gay or trans or non-binary or anything like that just because they weren't very popular. I'm sure there were some, but I can't think of any at the moment. If you haven't heard the news, Demi Lovato actually came out as non-binary this week. I think it was this week. I'm gonna say it was this week. And announced that they are now going by they, them pronouns. They also just started a podcast, and in the first episode, they talk about what being non-binary means. They go over some of the myths and some of the hate that non-binary people get. So in today's video, I wanna not only watch that video that they put on their Twitter, but I also wanna talk about the podcast that they just started, look at some of the criticism that they are getting in response to their coming out, and tell you what they had to say about it in their podcast. I post new videos here on my channel every Monday and Thursday, so if you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that right now. I'll wait for you. I'm just gonna pretend the noise is happening. Are you done? Thank you very much. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to keep us up to date with me as possible. And also, I have a Patreon, and the link for that is down below as well. So yeah, with no further ado, let's get right into Demi Lovato's little coming out video. We'd love to see it. So I found the video that they posted on their Twitter, and before we watch the video, I want to just read the tweets that they tweeted alongside the video. So they tweeted, "Every day we wake up, we are given another opportunity and chance to be who we want and wish to be. I've spent the majority of my life growing in front of all of you. You've seen the good, the bad, and everything in between. Not only has my life been a journey for myself, I was also living for those on the other side of the cameras. Today is a day I'm so happy to share more of my life with you all. I am proud to let you know that I identify as non-binary and will officially be changing my pronouns to they, them moving forward. This has come after a lot of healing and self-reflective work. I'm still learning and coming into myself, and I don't claim to be an expert or spokesperson. Sharing this with you now opens another level of vulnerability for me. I'm doing this for those out there that haven't been able to share who they truly are with their loved ones. Please keep living in your truths and know I am sending so much love your way." So Demi clarifies that they are in no way a spokesperson for the non-binary community or the trans community, and that they don't wish to be, but they just want to share this part of themselves so that, you know, somebody out there that may be going through the same thing has somebody to look up to. And now we're going to watch the little clip that they posted and see what it's all about.
Living in the fourth dimension means existing consciously in both time and space, but for me, it means having conversations that transcend the typical discourse. I want to take this moment to share something very personal with you. Over the past year and a half, I've been doing some healing and self-reflective work. And through this work, I've had the revelation that I identify as non-binary. With that said, I'll officially be changing my pronouns to they, them. I feel that this best represents the fluidity I feel in my gender expression and allows me to feel most authentic and true to the person I both know I am and still am discovering. In this first episode, I'm excited to share with you what this means to me and what it may look like for other people. I want to make it clear that I'm still learning and coming into myself, and I don't claim to be an expert or a spokesperson. I know this might be a new conversation for many, so I'm inviting my friend Alok, someone I trust, to spend time on this platform. Alok is an author, performer, and an important voice within the non-binary community and beyond. Their work to create visibility, equality, and understanding has inspired me on my healing journey. We'll discuss identity at large, but also take the time to personally reflect on how I came into my truth so that we, like many others, are able to live our lives authentically.
Aw, so cute, right? Is that not the cutest thing you've ever heard? Okay, so that was like a little advert or like a little teaser for their podcast that they are releasing called 4D. I also really love that in the full-length podcast episode, they brought in an established non-binary advocate, somebody that has experience advocating for the community, somebody that, you know, is already out here doing the work. The podcast episode is almost 40 minutes long, so we are obviously not going to be watching it in this video anyways. I will link it down below, and I definitely recommend that you watch the full thing. It's a very interesting, very cool way to just see Demi. Now I want to get into some of the criticism that they've received in response to their coming out. So I just wanted to take some of the most common criticisms and some of the hate comments that I saw the most on videos talking about Demi's coming out and just kind of combat it with what Demi literally said in their podcast. So I have a collection of tweets that came out in response to Demi's coming out video, but I also have a bunch of comments that were on a video reacting to Demi's coming out. This first one is a comment that was on that YouTube video, and it said, "I went to the barber and got a shitty haircut. Time to turn it into a way to get attention on my new sexuality/gender identity. emphasis on new. There's a couple things going on in this comment. Not only are they saying that Demi is just trying to get attention, but they're also saying that this is just some new trend that they're following along with. And they're just making this up on the spot to get attention, or, you know, maybe to promote an upcoming album or an upcoming piece of work or something. But in the podcast, Demi talks about how long they've been working on this and how long they've been struggling with their gender identity. A quote from it says, "This is my truth. I can't shove it down anymore, or I will end up in that place I was in a year ago." And I just want to say, I saw so many comments and so many like tweets saying, "Oh, looks like Demi's using again, blah, blah, blah." And I don't even want to include them in this video because that is just honestly disgusting to me, that somebody would not only bring up like substance abuse, but then go and invalidate their identity because they've struggled in the past with substance abuse. Demi says that they lived in shame for much of their life. They believe their overdose happened because they were ignoring their truth and suppressing who they really were to satisfy their stylists, their team members, and even their fans. They clarify that they could literally leave their career today, but tomorrow they will still be non-binary. And that's another thing that I saw a lot of, where people are saying that like, oh, they're just doing this to promote their album and stuff like that. Y'all don't see like all the criticism, all the hate that they're getting because of this? Don't you think that there is a more effective way? I'm sure all the people hating on Demi are not being like, well, let me go listen to their new album. In their words, for the first time, they're putting their well-being above their career. The next comment says, "He and she will become offensive terms and songs will be re-recorded or banned. We will all eventually be referred to as an it." This is something else that Demi and Alok talked about in their podcast. It's this whole myth that trans people and non-binary people and gender non-conforming people are posing a threat to, you know, the normies of society. That we're not going to allow them to refer to themselves as a he or a she, and, you know, it'll become illegal to say those words ever. Alok clarified in the podcast that they're not trying to police anybody's gender. They know how it feels to have their gender so heavily policed for their entire lives, and they would never want to do that to anybody else. So, like, if you want to call yourself a he or a she or whatever you want to go by, that's fine. Demi even went so far to say that they would be accepting of mistakes and, you know, they wouldn't even care if people use the wrong pronouns as long as they were putting in that effort to show them their respect. The next tweet, and I feel like this is such a common thing that non-binary people hear, "How the fuck can I refer to a singular person with they or them? I'm confused. I don't know. How will you ever refer to them? What will you call them? I don't know." First of all, they is grammatically correct, even if you're using it in the singular form, but like we won't even talk about that. Alok literally clarified, "If you're more focused on grammar than respecting someone's identity, you need to get your priorities not straight, but queer." Get it? Get it? They also emphasized that literally all languages, literally all words are made up. You think that the world was created with a set definition for every single word and, you know, like dictionaries just fell from the sky or something? They joked in the podcast like, you don't still speak in Old English. Like, languages are consistently changing and constantly evolving to incorporate different ideas. This person responded to Demi's tweet and said, "This doesn't make you hip or edgy. It makes you confusing to deal with and a poor role model for children." And then along the same lines it says, "Seems like Demi and Sam Smith are trying to jump on a sort of trend rather than actually feeling that way. It's like they're trying to seem more relevant than they already are. Wish they would just stop acting as though they're the exact same as the everyday person when they aren't." You're right, they're just like lizard people, right? Is that what they believe? This whole myth of like, oh, you're just seeking attention, you're just going along with a trend, and you're not even actually non-binary, you're blah, 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 blah. Being non-binary has been a thing for thousands of years. The reason that you're seeing people be so vocal about who they are and so vocal about their identities and that it's okay to be who you are is because way back in the day when colonization came around, they targeted and erased those communities. The only thing that's new here, as Alok said in the podcast, is the words that people are using to describe themselves because, again, languages are constantly changing. Something else that they pointed out in this podcast is a lot of the times conservatives are like all about you expressing yourself and being who you are, unless you're LGBT. Then they're like, no, you can't do that. So somebody tweeted in response to Demi Lovato coming out as non-binary, and they said, "What does it mean exactly?" And then somebody responded saying it means they're dealing with a lot of internalized misogyny while proclaiming themselves special. So first of all, I just want to respond to the first tweet that says, "What does it mean exactly?" I don't think that's necessarily like a mean tweet. Maybe they're just genuinely curious, but in the podcast, literally, I just tweet out the link to the podcast for all of these comments or whatever, but Alok actually gave a beautiful definition for being non-binary. They said, "We are people who have existed for thousands of years, who actually experience ourselves outside the idea of a man or woman. And then in response to the other person saying that it's a result of internalized misogyny and wanting to be special, they said, we're not confused or self-hating. We are happy, we are free, we are loving and finally living our lives. What's the point of tweeting these things at somebody that is so clearly just trying to be happy, so clearly just trying to learn to love themselves? Especially coming from a whole like TERF point of view where they're like, oh, we're just about protecting women and we don't want women to, hate themselves so much that they change their bodies. So you're all about people loving themselves and accepting themselves for who they are. Once again, unless they're LGBT, right? Why can't you just accept people for who they are and let them love themselves however they see fit? What's the issue? Like, how is it hurting you? In America, we are vilified for these same views, talking about views that go against non-binary people. The whole purpose of these movements is to divide and conquer. The problem is that many of us who truly know what we believe in do not feel the need to shout what our beliefs are. We have a live and let live attitude. I, for one, am sick and tired of these people in groups trying to force me to believe what they believe. The silent majority is rapidly getting tired of being silent. They're like, I just don't feel the need to shout what my beliefs are. These people are forcing their beliefs on all of us and, they're trying to divide and conquer. Like, sis, nobody is trying to shame anybody. Okay, I'll just say that. We're not trying to shame you. Actually, if you're gonna purposely misgender somebody, maybe you should be shamed, but never mind. The point of Demi coming out and making the video that they made was to quote unquote spark conversations where these conversations aren't usually had. And again, to possibly help people who may be struggling. And hey, it's working. This tweet says, I'll be coming out as non-binary to my family today because of you. You give me this empowerment. I'm so proud of you, Demi. You're so valid. Literally just saying thank you. Thank you for showing me that it's okay to be non-binary. Thank you for giving me the courage to be who I am. This person said, as a step-parent of a trans kid, I appreciate you sharing this and I recognize how hard this is. Please know I'm so proud and thank you for making it easier for our kids to just be themselves. Literally a parent, somebody who has an actual trans child saying, you are putting in work that is going to make my child's life easier and happier. Are you really so against the movement that's just trying to make kids happy? It says quite a bit about you. Anyways, I think that's enough talking about all the hate comments. We have to just laugh at the conservatives who are upset about somebody living their life. So hopefully you did get a laugh out of this video. Hopefully it wasn't too, upsetting to listen to. I tried to make it funny, right? Maybe, kind of. If you did like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up down below. I want to say a really big congratulations to Demi for finally coming to this point in their life, as well as thank you for being such a positive, vocal role model for the non-binary community. Make sure that you spread some love down in the comments below. I'm sure there's going to be some conservatives or some whatevers, trying to invalidate Demi. And that's not what we're about here. So let's just flood them out, okay? Flood them out. But other than that, I think I'm going to go. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in Monday's video. Bye, everyone.